hello, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my beautiful wife, amazing co-host, and the only co-host that could tolerate me for a whole season and going into a second season.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. So I'd be a little bit much.
But
so,
yes, this is the one and only Sheikah. We're here for another episode. Yes.
So yes, first and foremost, shout out to you. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. You know you need to subscribe to this. Make sure you comment to be a part of the conversation. That's how you chime in and tell us what you think. And this may be one of those episodes where you got a lot to say. So if you continue to tune in week after week, you are our faithful listeners and fan base. Yo, we appreciate y'all. I always say this every episode because I really can't stress how much we really do appreciate y'all. So shout out to y'all. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, we love you guys.
Yes. Now this week we're going to talk about probably one of the most underrated things, but one of the most important things that we can do as people. And I say it's underrated because I don't think people really put a lot of thought into it. But this week, we are going to talk about moving in
silence.
Now, some of our listeners may have no idea what we're talking about. They may be like, what do you mean moving in silence? What are y'all? Some spies? Some ninjas? What are y'all doing? Talk about moving in silence. So we need a working definition for all of our listeners who may not have any idea what we're talking about. So let's start off the conversation with just talking about what it means to move in silence.
So, I mean, in my opinion, when I talk about moving in silence,
tell them what you mean.
What I'm talking about is that, doing things without people having to know everything you're doing. Like, people on social media don't need to know your every move.
They don't need to know what you're doing.
Family doesn't need to know your every move.
They don't need to know what you're doing.
Friends, whatever. Like, not everyone needs to know exactly everything you're doing.
They don't be needing to know your business.
At all times. So when I say move in silence, that's what we're talking about. Moving in silence. Keep it to yourself.
And honestly, I think with a lot of things, it's not everything that everyone needs to know exactly when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like you could be like building your business and people don't need to know. You could be making moves in ministry and people just don't need to know. You just like sometimes
they'll know when the time is right.
Exactly.
But like through the process, through you like trying to figure things out, people don't gotta know that you're about to think about opening up.
Like honestly,
I don't know.
They don't gotta know your every move.
They don't gotta know yet until you have everything, the works in place.
Yes, and until it's established, there's certain things that people don't need to know in its infancy stage. That's the best way to put it. Before it fully matures, sometimes people just don't need
to know. You gotta wait. It's like, I don't want to get into it too much, but yeah.
But that is what we mean. Question. That is what we mean by moving in silence. Like when you working towards something, like even if it's working towards a goal, before it matures, like honestly, people just don't need to know. Sometimes you just gotta
hold on.
You just gotta keep working and doing what you're doing and building what you're building, and not letting people know what you're up to.
Yeah.
All right. So now we know what it is. Why is moving in silence important?
Yes.
Why is it important?
Oh, that's the question?
Yes, that's the question. Why? Why is it important?
Listen. I thought you was just making a statement.
No. Right. Why is it important?
Yes. So moving in silence is important because people can kill the dreams that you have before it even manifests, before it even comes to pass. You telling someone your dream, something that you have, something like you talk about, when in its infancy stage.
Yeah.
Like,
still a
you
baby,
gotta be careful. Like, people could kill your dreams, So you really have to be careful. And I'm not saying you can't tell anybody, but you got to know who you're telling your things when it's so fragile and such in
y'all
in
need
such
to
a,
write that one down because that's important.
Stage. Like, you have to be careful, because not everyone who with you and like, oh, I love you and I got you is for you. So you have to know who you're telling what to, and who
she out here spitting fire, folks.
You know, some secrets too. So it is very, very important, because if you really have that dream and that goal, and that's something that you really want to do, and you're like, okay, I see it, I could see it, it's coming to pass. And I don't know if that ever happened to anybody, but like you're like, you see it, you know it's gonna happen, and then you tell someone, and then something just happened, it just falls through, and you're like, oh my gosh, if I had just waited or just not saying nothing. I would have just
kept my mouth shut. You know? I probably would have been better off.
And honestly, sometimes you wonder why people, when they're pregnant, right? They kind of wait until they hit that like 3 months, 4 months, like kind of stage before they start. They wait till they pass their first trimester. Let me put it like that, before they start telling people, because it's too early. Like, anything can happen. It's a delicate stage.
Anything
so
can
you
happen.
have to wait. And it doesn't mean that, okay, you know what, you have your family. Yes, I want to share the good news. I want to share the joy, because they can't wait. They're waiting for you to, you know, to hear something like, oh, you're about to have a baby or something like that. But guess what? The time is just not right. I don't care how much you love your family. Sometimes you just have to wait, you know?
And that piece is a big piece. Like I said, like the infancy stage, like when we talk about like pregnancies, and even when we talk about visions, man, it's like you really do gotta be careful who you share your dreams with, because there are a lot of dream killers out there, people. Yeah. And I mean, there are people who
sometimes it's not intentional.
And sometimes, you know? sometimes it's not intentional, but sometimes people can give you the wrong word at the right time.
Well, true. Yep.
And in that moment, it could really, really crush
what you're trying to do.
And one of the things that I always say is, like, you know, when sometimes when you share your vision with people in its infancy stage, it really does allow a lot of things to creep in, because you could have an amazing vision, a God-given vision that he's giving you to do something, and because people don't share the same vision that you have, God didn't give you the vision. They don't see it how you see it, and they don't have the like tools to really grasp how God has given it to you, because they didn't get it. It wasn't given to them. It wasn't given to them. So there's a lot of times where you'll have this great dream, this great thing that you want to accomplish, and because people can't see it, people will joke.
Look at the Bible.
People will doubt. People will tell you all sorts of, that may be too big. You know, that's not something you may be able to accomplish. And if you're not strong and seeing it put together right away, that could hinder you from actually going and trying to fulfill that.
It could discourage you.
And I think that that's important. I think that goes into the next piece of talking about the dangers of not moving in silence. It's like, you know, when you share your vision with the wrong person, they can kill your dreams.
They could kill it.
They can literally kill your dreams. You know, with kids, when they be like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they be like, I want to be a doctor. And someone looks at them and tells them, well, you can't be a doctor. You know, it's like that child can one or two things can happen.
Yeah.
Either A, that child can take that moment and say, you know what, because they said I can't do it, I'm gonna do it. Or the opposite can happen, where it's like they hear that and actually internalize that and be like, no, well, maybe I can't be a doctor. Well, maybe I'm not able to achieve this. Maybe this vision is too big. Maybe I should let it go. Maybe I'm being foolish.
Wow.
You know? So I think in those moments, you have to really be mindful and discerning about, and for me, it's really about who you have around you. That plays a major piece in this, because there are some people who will and see the potential of your vision and will support you, even when everything else around you is telling you otherwise, they will have some faith that will sometimes push you through moments where you're like, I don't even know if I can do this, and then you have others who do quite the opposite, because they've seen how their dreams didn't pan out. They've seen how the things that they wanted to accomplish aren't going the way that they want to, and since
they don't think you can do it.
Yeah, since they're having difficulty achieving what they want to do, they try to push that on you. Like, well, since I wasn't able to do it, that ain't gonna come out to nothing. You ain't got that ain't gonna work.
I also think that sometimes people may not have that intention to try to kill your dream, but like sometimes there's something inside, like maybe something hidden inside, that when you tell people something, it comes out without even realizing what's coming out of their mouth to try to kill your dreams.
And honestly, like there's like things we internalize. There's things that we internalize that we don't realize we internalize. And a good example of this is like when I was growing up, and this is a perfect example for this. I'm really glad you say that, because we internalize things and we don't realize we internalize it. So there was this time when we was growing up where my godfather was going to take my cousin down to Maryland with him, right? And he was telling me about it. He was like, yeah, Uncle Timmy's going to come and get me and this and next. And the first thing I said to him, I was like, man, that ain't going to happen. And for me, it wasn't because I wanted to crush that dream for him. It wasn't because I wanted to make him feel like, it wasn't going to happen. But because of all like the failed promises and the things that people didn't live up to in my life, that's the only way I could see it. And it wasn't that, my Uncle Timmy had ever said anything to let me down or anything like that. But it was like, because I've seen so many times where people would just say things and it never carried weight and they never followed through. It's like when I heard him say it, it was like, man, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. People don't follow through. People,
he ain't going, man, you silly. And sure enough, he came through, took him down to Maryland with him.
And that changed your view,
And
right?
I was like, wow. I was like, and honestly, I've seen multiple times where in my life that same thing has played out because of the experiences that I've had. And people don't even realize those things. And if it can be a very quick interaction, and in your mind it could be like, Dad, why they say that? But in their mind it's like they don't even realize, it's because of things that they've internalized and things that they've seen. It's like they just say what they've experienced.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's crazy that you would say that, because sometimes people don't even realize
sometimes
it,
you don't realize until like you're like, wait, did I just say that in that moment? Like, I didn't, and you like if anybody's like me, where I try to think before I say things, but sometimes in the moment you may not think everything through, and then you say it, and afterwards you're like, oh, I hope they didn't take that as that.
Sometimes you don't even see it.
I hope, oh my gosh, I said that. I hope they did not interpret that as though I meant this, So it's like it's kind of a tricky situation, but I'm talking about the people who like know and intentionally try to kill your dreams.
There's some dream killers out there. We can't act like there ain't no dream killers out there. There's
jealousy or because of envy, something like, oh, well, they're doing this and I don't like what they're doing. So if they come to me for advice, I'm going to tell them no. Or, some imagined competition or
and this really goes on
like that.
with what we've said before. It's like, I honestly believe that people do want you to do good. People genuinely want others to be good, but they don't want you to do better than them. And that is a big piece of it. It's like, it's not like they don't want you to succeed. Yeah, they want you to succeed, but they don't want the perception that you're doing more than them, that you're exceeding more than them, that you're excelling more than them, that somehow, some way you're going to get bigger than they are. And I think that comes with the there's just this mindset. It's kind of, and I don't want to say it's a crab mentality, because it's not like they're trying to pull you down, but it's more like a limitation where they're trying to keep you inside of a box, because they don't want you to, like, they have this picture of what you're supposed to succeed in, what you're supposed to accomplish, that's the word that I'm looking for. They have an idea of what you're supposed to accomplish. And it's like, this is it. You don't supposed to surpass this expectation that I have for you. So then when it comes time where it actually looks like, oh, you're about to get out that box, they're like, no, this ain't gonna work for me. No, you're supposed to stay inside of this box that I placed you in. And when you start breaking out of that and they start seeing like, oh wow, you're exceeding the expectation that I had for you, that's when the problems come in.
Yeah, you're right. It's a crazy thing.
It is. Now this is a really good one. We talk about, moving in silence. So here, does it make you less of a friend or less of a family member if you don't tell your friends and family everything?
Oh, no. I don't think so. Like, I mean, I don't tell my family and my friends everything.
But you get some of those friends who be like, well, I'm supposed to know everything. I'm your friend. I'm supposed to know everything. But I'm supposed to know everything that you're doing. And you're supposed to be like that close.
I mean, I don't expect to know everything that my friends are doing. And so I don't expect them to know everything that I'm doing, because there's some things. And it's just me as a person, though. Like, I am very private with a lot of things, and people may not know that, but I share what I don't care for people to know. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to look at it.
And I am very private, especially now that I'm getting older. I've become wiser with age, and I've become smarter with age. So I've come to realize
wiser and smarter, and more beautiful too.
I've come to realize that it's not everything you got to open your mouth about. And I remember my aunt Verna, God bless her soul, she was the one who was trying to teach me that from I came here. From I was like 15, she's been trying to tell me like she gets not everything, because I was like quick to jump and say whatever and just talk. And she used to be like, some things you don't need to say. It's not everything you need to say. Close your mouth. And I used to think that she's just trying to shut me up. And I used to take offense of that, to be like, why can't I talk? I have a voice. And then I realized that I internalized that as something negative. And I kind of become mute, where I went and talked because I didn't know that because I know what she meant was that what wasn't that, oh, I should just be quiet and don't say nothing. She really was trying to get me to say, you know what, it's not everything you have to say. You don't have to have a response for everything. But I internalized that as, oh, I just have to close my mouth. So I would be like, so instead, what I do, I close my mouth and I just observe, and I make my eyes speak for me. Like, oh, all right. And when I go home, I rethink and overthink and just like,
Definitely the overthink piece.
So
it's
be like
super analytical.
So it's like, with all of that, now that I'm getting older and I'm like thinking more, I'm like, no, I've come to realize that that's not what she meant. She really mean that like, it's not everything I have to say. I don't have to open my mouth for every single thing. I don't have to say some things. I could just be quiet about and still accomplish and still get my point across. Because it's not every battle you need to fight. It's not every situation you need to have something to say about. And I used to believe that, it's funny you talk about friends, because I used to believe that if I'm your friend, that means you know everything. You should know everything about me. I should explain and tell you everything. But I've learned quickly that it doesn't always go the same way. Like,
that's a flawed thinking.
I may think that, okay, I'm telling you everything, but are you telling me everything? Like,
is it reciprocal?
Yeah, is it reciprocal? Like, no, it's not. So I've come and through my observation, I've observed where, it's only sometimes to people's convenience that we share certain things or whatever. So I've come to notice a lot of things in different, friendship over the years and stuff like that. And I know when to pull back. Like, sometimes, if I'm sharing, I'm like, oops, and I also want to say that the Holy Spirit helped me a lot to because sometimes I go to say something and it's like someone just don't. And I just kind of stop myself in my track right there and then. So it really depends on what the situation is, but I don't think that because we're friends I have to tell you everything, and I don't expect you to do the same, because some things you just have to leave where you just celebrate, you know what I mean? Like if I need you to pray for me or oh yeah, pray for me, I'm going through this, whatever. But if it's something that I don't even really know, I haven't really, I get I had the vision, but I don't even know how I'm going to implement it. How am I going to share something that, yes, God gave me the vision, but he hasn't shown me how to do it yet? How am I going to share that? And next thing I share, and it's like, oh, God is like, no, that's not what I want you to do. I want you to go over here and do this. So then I'm prematurely, I share something that not supposed to be shared at that moment. And then I so many of us mess up our own blessings because we talk too much too quickly.
That's true.
So
that is true. And I've had plenty of experiences with that piece where it's even with jobs where it's it looks like you're gonna get the job, and then you tell people you're gonna get the job, and then
something falls through.
You don't get the job. And I think one of the biggest things with that, I have all these different little proverbs and sayings that I used to hear growing up, where they say still waters run deep, where it's because you don't hear people talking, and you can't really, they're just kind of sitting there quiet, there's levels to them, and there's a lot of things that you don't know, and there's the strong move quiet. And, it's people don't know what you don't know until you open your mouth. It's they have no idea about anything about you until, you let those words leave your mouth, And then it's as I got older, I started to understand that more and more. And I think one of the biggest things for me that really helped me to understand how important it is to really just keep your mouth shut with things when you're going in it is when you was pregnant with Genesis. We was excited about having a baby girl, and then as time progressed, it's seeing all the complications, and then it's before Christmas when everything happened, it's I remember my family members calling me and be like, oh well, what do you want for the baby for Christmas? And meanwhile, we just found out that we lost our baby girl. And it's don't get anything. It's okay. And it's now, after being so excited and celebrating the fact that this baby girl's coming, now it's she's not. And it's well, how do you go now to deal with that? Because that's not something we ever had to deal with. That's not something that
was
it was wow, because it's with the boys, there was never any complications. There was nothing. It was just oh, pregnant, baby comes, boom, we're good.
I didn't even know that people could have complications.
Yeah, it's was so pregnant, baby comes, and then this was complications. What is that? We've never had this before, So even being able to deal with that, it's for something that we always thought was certain, cut and dry and easy.
We realized
really quickly that it can really change. And I think for me, that was a huge thing where it was it's never certain until it's certain. And until it's certain, keep your mouth shut.
Yes.
It's dude, and that was.
And it's okay, because people doesn't need to know every single, honestly, I hardly go on social media now because my life is just so busy and I don't even have time to.
My social media be dry. Outside of the podcast, you don't even see posts.
It's crazy. Life is busy. But when I used to go on a lot, that's some people's outlet. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But I feel like some things you just have to like kind of hold to yourself, where it's not everything you have to tell, um because you do have, listen, you can have a lot of followers, you could have a lot of people who are rooting for you and you think, but there's always going to be someone who
there
really
is
are
always
not
someone
going to be happy for you. Secretively, they are just not happy for you. And they're waiting for you to fail.
hoping,
They're waiting and
praying,
hoping and praying like, oh gosh, I want this person
holding
to fail.
their
So
breath.
you have to be careful of the things that you let, you give access to people prematurely. You gotta wait until it's like developed. You have to wait until like it's mature enough that you know it doesn't matter what anyone say, what
They
anyone
can't
try
kill
to
it.
do, they cannot kill it.
They cannot kill it.
It's come to its maturity stage,
Yeah.
where it's full term. It's like a baby.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
term.
Visions can really be like babies, where you got to carry that bad boy until it's mature enough that it can survive.
You know, I look
on
at us,
its
even when
own.
we're doing the book. Yeah, don't forget the book, When Three Worlds Collide.
Great book plug right there.
So,
That was gold. Time out. That was just gold.
When we were doing the book, and a lot of people, close friends, family, didn't even know we
They
were
had
doing the
no
book.
idea what was
Because
going
honestly,
on.
we started it and wasn't even sure how it was gonna come out, when or what, or
How
is there
long
gonna
it
be
was gonna
something?
take?
Is it gonna take a while?
What's gonna go
What's
on
gonna
with it?
happen? We wasn't sure. So because we wasn't sure and we were so busy, we were like, man. And then the pandemic happened, so it kind of helped to speed up things a
Shout out
lot,
to the
because
pandemic.
we were home. And this book, was in the making, and we just couldn't really get around to it because of work and kids and busy
Everything.
life.
Just everything.
But when we did it, it was kind of like, I feel like when we were comfortable enough to say, okay, wow, this is really happening, is when we submit our manuscript. It's when we like
first round of editing.
Yeah. Like,
first round of editing. It was like, oh, this is really happening.
Oh, it's really
like
happening.
this is really happening. This is really happening.
Because even the process of it, we're like, it just didn't seem real. Like, it just didn't seem
It's like, we writing a book?
Yeah, I'm like,
what we gonna write about?
You know what I mean? And we start writing, and then I'm like erasing, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense.
Kenneth, I don't even know how to write this.
I'm like, how do I even put it? I'm like, babe, I don't even know how to format it. Like, what do I do? What do I say? But if I had run my mouth and go say to people, or you do the, to family, to people and stuff, it's like, I feel like it would have did something. So I feel like it's okay. It's not like you're keeping a secret, but some things you just have to wait.
And sometimes people can influence how your vision,
because next thing you're like, oh, I'm trying to write a book. Oh, what the book is gonna be? We know what it's gonna be like this, and then you start feeding your mind with things, and then it's not authentic anymore. It's not you anymore. It's somebody telling you what to do. Like, and I mean, different situation, you might need someone to help guide you through it or whatever.
Insight in the process and things like that.
It depends on what it is.
Yes.
It depends on what you're trying to do. So, long story short, it's not everything you have to tell.
And don't feel bad about that. Like, don't feel bad about that
because people will try to make you feel bad.
People will try to guilt you. Oh,
I didn't even know you were trying to write a book.
From
you
me.
didn't tell us.
Tell me you was writing a book.
Honey, it's not that serious.
Oh, you got a new job? Couldn't tell me. Oh, you moved? What? What?
Like, honestly, I come to realize that it's not that serious.
It's not.
It's really not that serious.
It's not.
Because I've realized that, the same way I'm not going around trying to seek out what people are doing, what's their next move, I don't really expect that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the time to do that. So I don't expect that people are going to be doing it to me. So it's like, and it's not that, I don't find that, you're not important. We have a lot of people that's important to us. But honestly, it takes a lot of energy
that I don't have to begin with.
That I really don't have. Like, I'm trying to figure my life out. This, that. It's like
trying to survive.
So ministry, school, my spirituality, like sanity, everything. It's like I can't keep up with the world and the stuff that's going on in social media and this and that. I just can't keep up. So it's not that we don't, like, I have a lot of important people that I love, I adore, I look up to, but sometimes I think about you, I love you, but it doesn't mean that because I'm not telling you things that I'm doing, is that it doesn't mean that you're not important to me. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't see the value in you. It's just that I don't feel like talking.
and for me, that's like, I'm an introvert anyway, so it's like I'll just be in my zone by myself.
And it doesn't mean it's not nothing bad. And it doesn't mean anything.
And I think you gotta really have friends who really understand you for that piece, to really get that piece, because it's like, if you're really, you know, your friend, if they're really your friend, if they're really someone that you consider a friend, I feel like after 30, if you got friends, they become like family. That's just my opinion. If you're 30 or up and you got someone you consider a friend, that's past friendship at that point. At that point, you're either family or you're not.
Yeah.
And it's like, your family should have a general understanding of how you are, and they shouldn't take a lot of the things that you do personal because they've been around for a while and they kind of get it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So just a few more. So is there a difference between moving in silence and loving from a distance?
Is this the last question?
This is the second to last one. Is there a difference? And this doesn't even have to be that long because I have my opinions on this.
You said there's a different what?
Is there a difference between moving in silence and loving from a distance?
I think that there is, I don't know. I think that there is a difference. Moving in silence, I think there is, because like you can move in silence, but it doesn't mean.
Because I don't want people to get too confused.
I don't know. I'll let you.
I don't want people to get too confused. I believe there's a distinct difference between moving in silence and loving from a distance. I can rock with you. And there's certain things that I just can't share with you because of the where they are. You know, we can be the best of friends, and there's still going to be certain things that I just can't share with you because of, you know, what I'm trying to accomplish, where it is in the stage of what it is, and things like that. That's moving in silence. Loving from a distance, I for my peace and sanity, I can't rock with you like that. It's not that I have something against you. But because I value my peace of mind, I have to keep you over here in order for me to be able to rock with you.
Okay. All right. I see.
That's a simple explanation. All right. I know we run out of time. I see our timer ran out. So I'm just going to leave this last one. All right. Last minute advice for the people before we close the episode. Anything you want to drop to them? Someone who may be struggling with this, you know, talking about everything that they're doing, don't really have a plan for moving in silence. Anything you want to drop and leave with them before we leave?
I just want to say that a lot of people struggles with not sharing things, especially if it's with people that they love, they adore, family members, best friends, you know, parents, whatever.
Mm-hmm. People close to them.
They struggle with not sharing, right? But I feel like you have to know if your spirit is saying don't share yet, listen to your spirit. Listen to your inner spirit, because that's what I do. I honestly listen to I'm like, if my spirit is telling me something, it's like 99.9% of the time, it's for a reason. So I try to listen to my spirit. Like I try to listen to how I'm feeling, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't fight it, because every time I don't listen, I'm always going back and saying, I should have listened. You should have followed your mind.
And regret's not a real good feeling at all.
So all I have to say, listen to your inner spirit. Like, just follow your mind. If your spirit is saying don't, wait, do not. And that's all I got to say.
I think, like, you generally will know the people that you can trust with what. And in that sense, I would say, just be mindful about what you share with whom, because it's not everyone who's rooting for you to succeed. So be careful with who you share your innermost visions and dreams and aspirations with, because it's not everyone who's going to support your vision. It's not everyone who's going to encourage you in chasing after it. It's not everyone who even wants you to succeed there. So just ask God for discernment about who you can share what with. Because
we didn't talk about Joseph, but that's for another time. We gotta go.
Well, yeah, that's another story for another day. But it's like, just be mindful and be careful, because it's not everyone who you have around you is rooting for you. Some people are rooting for you to fail rather than rooting for you to succeed. So
that's preach it. That's the
so
word.
So just be careful with that. Be
That's
careful
the
who
word.
you share your heart with, and don't expect. This one's a big one. Don't expect people to want to push your vision the way that you want to.
Ooh.
And I say this to all my friends and all my people who be trying to achieve things, and they're like, but people don't support me. And I'll be like, listen, I'm like, God gave you the vision.
That's for me.
God gave you, he gave you the vision. So you can't expect people to see the value in what God gave you. So you got to push it harder than
that
anyone
is why
else.
I marry you.
Yeah.
And I'll do it
again. you gotta push it, because God didn't give it to them. He gave it to you. So don't let anyone kill what God gave you because they can't see it like you see it.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That is it.
He said it.
I'm literally going to drop. I'm dropping the mic. Dropping the mic. All right. Remember, lovely people, death and life is in the power of your tongue.
So make sure you speak
life. That
life.
Life. If you haven't gotten your copy of When Three Roads Collide, you can get it online at any online book distributors. You can find it. Stop playing around. You can find it. And the podcast now is on all digital platforms, the Spotify, the iTunes, the Google. We out there. So, and of course our weekly YouTube session. So we love y'all. Have a great week, and we will talk to y'all soon. God bless y'all.